Welcome everyone to our weekly design review. I have four designs that I'm going to be critiquing today. But before I get to the critiquing of the design, I need every one of you to know that there are some powerful things that make a good design successful. These things are what I make sure that I check. All right, before I sign out from any design project I'm working on. And I've heard creatives ask this question that, okay, Caesar, how do you normally know when to stop working on design projects? What normally helped me achieve this successfully is these four things I'm going to be sharing with you today. Now, number one is your design must grab attention. All right. Your design should grab attention. So, whenever you're working on any design project, first draw what you are planning to use to call people's attention to your project. Most of the time, as creatives, how we do this successfully is by creating what people are not used to. All right. Like making a particular element on our design look different from what people are not used to. Okay, let's say for example I'm asked to work on a design project and I'm asked to use an elephant on the project. If I want to draw people's attention to the project, I'm not going to use the elephant the way people are used to it. All right, is that I do something different from what people are used to on the elephant. Is that I do some paint effect on the face, or I do something like outline on the background of the elephant to make it look different from what people are used to. All right. So your design should draw attention. So when you notice you've fixed the area of drawing the attention on your project, then you proceed to the next thing, which is your design should be able to control the eye movement of your audience through the composition. All right. So people should be able to know, okay, this is the first thing that draws my attention, which is your focal point. Then there should be something that will come after it, and then the next, and then like that. Okay, so the third step, all right, the third thing that you need to know is your design must tell story. People should be able to see your design and say, okay, this design is actually um, calling the attention of this group of people. This design is for these people. A a corporate design should not look like a wedding invitation. All right, a party poster should not look like a corporate design. So your design should tell story. It should tell people what the information is about before they even read every other information on the design. And then the last part is your design should evoke emotion. So these things are the things that you should check out before working on any design project. If you are successful with doing this well, trust me, coming up with good design is going to be very easier for you. There are different ways to do the controlling of high movement. There are different ways to create the calling attention to your design project, and there are different ways to control to evoke emotion. All right, and that's why we have the design elements. The design elements are what we use to make all these things work. All right, so I'm going to stop here on this, and I'm sure that when I'm critiquing the designs, I'm going to point out some of the things that I mentioned here for you to understand what I'm trying to say. All right, this design here, all right, we have white space, but we have white space, and then we have too many contrasts on the project. And if you watch the last video, I'm sure you heard when I mentioned that too much of focal points, too much of contrast is not good. All right, too much of contrast is not good in graphic design. And when I say too much contrast, I'm referring to this because here we have this image of this eagle, and then we also have this character here. We have the title, this bold, and we also have this bold. We have this also uh, uh, bold, and then like that. Um, I'm going to show you guys how to achieve good controlling of eye movement here and have less contrast on project like this. All right. I don't expect him to use this eagle image on this project because even the information on the project is not calling for the eagle. And whenever you're working on design project, guys, please, I always say this to you that your job is not to make the page look full. No, your job is to make this page look simple enough for every element on your project to breathe and draw attention fast. So this eagle here is not okay. All right. Then the other thing that I noticed that you did not do here well is the fact that we have this your information here too tiny. All right. And when you're working on design projects, if your audience can't see the information on the project, it's not different from when you did not add the those information at all. All right. Our job is to help the viewers find it easy to read every information on our project. But when we now do it in such a way that it's going to be difficult for them to read those information, it's going to make it look like the design, those information on those on the project is just waste of time. You know, I've said this to you guys before that nothing sits on a page neutral. Yeah, because I know some of you may think, okay, you always say not to sit on the page neutral. So no matter how small I make the information on the project, people should still be able to see. No, don't where if you make it too small to the point where people can't read what you have there, it's not different from when you don't put anything there at all. So my advice is next time, please try make your project, try make the information on your project visible enough for people to see it. I know most time why we creatives always make things smaller on our project is because we want to give room for white space. What's the advantage of you giving room for white space and people can't read the information on your projects? So white space is good, but that does not mean you should now not help your viewers. All right. Then this board here, all right. I don't really have any issue with the board. All right. I don't really have any issue with the board because most time as creatives, when we use this particular elements here, we're trying to say this is a signboard. And this is for those of you that don't know. Whenever you use this box on your project and you place any element on it, it's not different from when you say this is a signboard and then you now have the information on it. All right. And when you do that, you're also telling people to quickly see the information on that board. You are trying to tell people that, okay, I want you guys to quickly see this. So when you are using this element here on your project, you have to first check, okay, this information that I'm putting here, I know it's important, but after putting it, I hope I don't have too many contrasts on the project. And that's why the way you place your element, you don't just place element on your project because you just want them to be there. No, it should come in a strategic way. All right, they should come in a strategic way. Don't just use them on your project. All right, and for this information here, if I happen to be the one to work on this project, what I would have is to I'm going to reduce the size of this. It's not going to be as big as this. All right, it's not going to be as big as this. Or I'm going to put it on one line. I'm going to put everything on one line. All right, I can put prayer and prophetic on one line and put conference under it with the 2022. Okay, like that. All right, and yeah, I think that's it for this. All right, I'm going to stop here on this and I'm going to proceed to the next design. All right, so on this second design here, the issue I have with this is the wrong placement of elements. All right, the wrong placement of elements. I know that most time when we are asked to work on design project for brands who are into selling of different items, we always try to make people see everything that the brand is into, which is not a bad idea. But where it now becomes a bad idea is when you now don't arrange those elements the way things appear to you in real life. Whenever you are arranging elements on your design project and you are placing them next to each other, most especially images, arrange them in a way that when people see them, Before they will even know that this arrangement was from you, they'll think that it's something that was arranged before they took the picture and sent it to you. Arranging elements on your design project should be seen the way things appear to you in real life. The way I'm sitting next to you, the way I'm sitting opposite my camera now, should be the way things should appear to you in real life. Like if you notice, I'm big. I'm looking bigger than most of the stuff I have around me. This screen behind me here is big, but the reason why it looks as if it's small to you is because I'm a bit closer to the camera than the screen, and that's the way it should be when you are arranging elements on your design projects. Graphic design also share the same principle. Watch how you're going to arrange your elements such a way that they look dynamic and they look the way things appear in real life. So why I'm saying all of this now is this: if you look at um, if you look at most of all these items we have here, all right, you notice that their sizes are not balanced. All right, their sizes are not balanced. Look at this headphone; it looks smaller to this. In fact, the arrangement of these elements is not balanced, and I'm sure that with this little explanation I just gave you, I know you can relate with what I'm trying to say. And then if you have to work on it, I know you arrange it in such a way that it won't look the way this designer did. That's one. Then number two is most of the time I'm asked to work. If I'm asked to work on design projects, this type of design projects, excuse me, most of the things I do is I don't make all the elements share sizes. Or I mean similar size, not similar. I don't make them have. I don't make their size look similar. What I do most of the time is I try to pick one gadget that I know that most people love to have. I try to make the gadget look bigger to draw attention. I said it at the beginning of this design review that there are four powerful things that you must know before your design project or before starting any design project. Now, the first one is your design must draw attention. So there should be that very big thing that when people see it, it draws their attention to say, wow, I feel like having these gadgets. And then you see them going to check the next thing. They go through the project. If I immediately they see the mobile phone, they know this brand is into selling of gadgets. So I already helped them with the right story. All right. And then the next thing they now check is okay, how do I get the gadgets? Who are the people in charge of this? And like that. And the other thing I'm going to say here is I know this project is for it's a Christmas artwork because I can see some Christmas tree effect here. But this here is not part of this. So I don't expect this to be this visible. I know you try to make it blurry here, but here I can really see here. So I don't expect you to make this visible because it's not part of what the brand. It's just there to help people know. Okay, there's a Christmas, maybe Christmas bonanza or whatever. So what I expect you to do is to make this be at the back. Is to make this be at the back. And how do you make this be at the back? Is by doing what you did here with this. If I do it like this and make it smaller, all right, that's for that. And then the other thing that I also notice here is most time when you use 3D text like this and you have shadow behind it, the message is something is holding this 3D stuff at the back. All right, something is holding it at the back here, and that's why we have this shadow here. All right, and I don't think that's not bad. All right, that's not bad. That's not bad. But take my advice on the arranging of the pictures. And the other thing you also need to avoid is this. All right, now it's not all fonts you have on your PC that you're supposed to use. I know so many creatives always fight that they feel okay because I have this font on my PC, I must make use of it. No, it's not all the fonts you have on your PC that is good for design. One of the fonts I think is not really good for design is this signature font here that this designer uses. ahead. Then the other thing I also notice here is never place any element on your small text like you did here, because I can see this line overlapping on the new text. Please avoid this. And then the other thing you did not do well here is the controlling of the high movement on your project. And when you don't do that well on your project, you are going to affect the way people access, or you control the eye movement on your design project. Your elements should have space between them. All right. Don't make it, because I've been looking at it like, okay, what else is making this not to look successful? The space between all these your elements here is too close. It's too tight. So space them out. And when I say space them out, now I'm not saying that you should now have too many space between the rows. No, put them in groups. Let them be in different groups. Now, when I say groups, this is what I'm saying. If here we have the social media icons and then we have the social media handle with the phone number, you can make this here. You can make them a group. Then use space to let your viewers or and your audience know that this group here is different from this. All right. So this from all of us here should have a separate group. So how you now do this group thing successfully is by making the size of the elements on each of those group dynamic. Don't make them have similar size. All right, that's how you do it. So when you do that, you end up having enough space that will help your viewers access the information on the project. All right, and yeah, so I'm going to stop here on this, and let's go straight to our next design. Now, this is a successful design, and I'm going to let you guys know why this is successful to me. All right. The first thing that I like here is the white space. All right, the use of white space on the project, which is how the designer was able to separate the element on the project to create space, which is what I was trying to explain to you guys on the previous. All right, now see the way he grouped all the elements here, because most creatives see good design. I don't know. There's something that makes this design look successful, but I'm trying to solve why it looks successful. Most of the time, the design looks successful to you is because of the way most creatives always put their elements on separate groups. It's simply called proximity in graphic design. All right, it's simply called proximity in graphics design. So this is a group. All right, this is a group also. And if you notice, each of these groups share different sizes. All right, this is another group, and this is another group. All right, now if you look at my boxes here, you realize that all these boxes have different sizes, and that is how you control the eye movement on your project. In fact, let me put it this way: see the placing of every element on your project as boxes. Don't see them as that shape that looks like what you can't define. See them as boxes. So when you start seeing them as boxes, they help you with knowing how to play with scale. All right. So here, why this is successful here is because the eye movement here is successful. And why it was successful is because the designer used white space well. That's number one. Then number two here is the use of rhythm. All right. Now, when I say rhythm, I'm referring to the repetition of style or repetition of elements. But here, I can see the repetition of style here. I'm referring to the use of this gradient color that this designer used here. This is the gradient 1, gradient, the same gradient 2, and then we now have the same gradient on the background with less opacity. All right. So when you are playing with this, when you are playing with similar elements on your project, part of how you make it look successful is see how you can also control the flow of the high movement with that element. That's for the gradient part. Then the other reading I notice here, which is repetition again here, use of all this shape here. I want you guys to catch something here. See shape here. This is the same shape here again. All right. And then we have the same shape here, but with little tweak on it. You know, I always say to you guys that using too much of different shapes on your design is going to make the design boring. So what this designer did was he feels like using different shapes, but what he now did was he used the same shape in a dynamic way. And this is called repetition in design. This is part of the way we create rhythm in graphic design. So it made this stand out. Now, you know, I told you guys that having too many contrasts is not good in graphic design, but you can have more than one contrast. All right, you can have more than one contrast, but how you will now have more than one contrast is you now need to do it in a dynamic, in a stylish way. All right, in a stylish way. So here we have the same shape with these shapes here, but in a different look. The same shape we have here is what we have here, but it's not as visible as what we have here, in order not to create what I call confusion. All right, in order not to create, not to make the project look too heavy and too busy. Because by the time we start having too many similar shape with different colors on the project, it's going to make the project look boring and confusing. That's for the use of shape. Then the last part is the use of solid color. All right. Here we have this blue. The same blue is what we have here with a lighter value of the same blue here. And these are the things that make this project look successful. And then last, on the part of the using of image, if you look at this image here, we can see it looks more like a church hall, like a church auditorium. But it's not looking as sharp as the picture of the speakers. So the idea here is not to make the background boring and still make use of the same, make use of the picture that connects with the message on the project. So when I see this project, without even looking at this pastor and the title, if I see this background, I already know it's a church design. Remember, I told you your design must tell story. So part of how you help your audience quickly get the message and let them know this is a church project is the way we use this on our design projects. So this here is a successful project. All right, it's a successful project. I'm giving huge thumbs up to the designer, and I'm going to say to this person to keep it up. And what else again? Okay, so lastly on this design, one other thing I think helped for that part of the things that helped the designer, the success of this design is the designer did not say, okay, aside from me applying the same color to my title, my other information on the project, my speakers face should now have separate color. No, the touch of orange we have here on this title is part of the color that we have on the face of our subjects here or our characters here. It's possible this color effect is from the photographer, but it also helped with making the design look successful. All right, so color is also part of how we make our design project successful. Then reading. All right, reading is what part of what we use as creatives to make our project look dynamic. Now, see, guys, don't now cage yourself in that place where you start feeling, oh, how am I going to think like this person? How am I going to start coming up with this type of design? Don't give yourself problem. I've helped you. So anytime you see a design project that looks successful to you, take what I just mentioned on this design here and use it to solve why the design looks successful to you. So when you are going to now copy from that design, those principles are what you're going to apply to your design that will help your design look successful. All right. Yeah. So let's go straight to our last design for today. All right. So sorry on that design. There's another thing I noticed again. So this color here, all right, is okay on white background, but this designer did a good job by adding a light shadow behind the title to create separation, more separation between the background and the title. So take note of that. Anytime you add shadow to your elements, you don't just add shadow because you just want to have shadow. No, you add the shadow because you want to really help your viewers to see the information on your project clearly. All right. So that's also part of what I believe helped the success of this design. So yeah. So on this last design, all right, this is not looking successful to me. Why? Because the story here is not balanced. All right, the story here is not balanced, and the contrast is not striking enough. Like it's not heavy enough to draw attention to the project. All right, I always say to you guys that this game, what always make us get good clients, what may always put money in our pocket is when we are good at telling stories the right way, when we are good at creating designs that clients and audience don't see coming. But we can't do this successfully if we don't have good planning. All right, lack of good planning most time is what make design boring. The same way a movie producer or movie writer plan every movie that you watch that looks successful to you or look interesting to you is the same way we creatives draw out our plan on how we can help our viewers enjoy and want to relate with what we did. Not doing this well is not going to help us. And anytime you're working on design projects, what you are trying to portray to your audience and the client is you are trying to tell them about you. You're trying to say, I'm a creative person. You're trying to let them know that I'm good in this field. But when you don't do the right thing, it makes them look at you like somebody who's not there. In fact, to even pay you well is going to be difficult. I've had the opportunity of working for organization outside my country, and why most of them decided to trust me is because on my profile, I made them believe that I understand this game. You won't see me use the same feel, the same look on all my posts. I'm always coming up with something different. Even the one that the message there is not really necessary, I try to make it look dynamic. I try to make it look unique, that you surely want to look at it. So whenever you're working on design projects, don't just pick those elements and then start using them. No, see how you can create something unique, something different from what people are used to. Now, the reason why I'm saying all of this is because how can we have this? All right. Why do you have this as the focus on the project? This is not strong enough to draw attention to the project. It's not strong enough to draw attention to the project. Even if I don't have good pictures from the client, this alone is enough for me to create something dynamic, something unique that draw people's attention to the project. Most of the time, I don't have good pictures from clients and I want to do this type of design. What I use to draw attention or to make the project look interesting is making this a 3D text. Make it have I told you guys that part of how you can draw attention to your project to make people want to relate with what you have, like to make people read every other information on your project, is creating something that people are not used to. When you create something that people are not really used to, it makes them draw attention to the project. Most of the time, you see brands, banks, corporate organizations use 3D type on their project. Is they want people, they want you to have this, they want to create this impression of making you feel this event, this the information on this project is something that you need to see. So when you make your type 3D, most time you are trying to say, you're trying, the message you're trying to portray to them is you need to see this. Like you need to quickly see this. You know, so many of them are used to typing with their laptop, using their mobile phone to type, to chat with people, and the make use of text. But when they see a 3D type, it looks unique to them because they go, "Why is this text looking different from what I'm used to?" And that's the message I'm trying to put, to make you guys understand here. Remember, I used the illustration of an elephant when before we started this design review. I think it was during the review. So the same thing applies to text. Typography are also like, because I know so many designers don't know, type are also like text. I mean, they are also like images. Don't look at them like text. No, they are not like, they are not text. They are also pictures. So when you don't have good pictures from clients to use on the project, your title, your text is enough for you to make the project look interesting. So this here is not, it's not helping at all. It makes the project look boring. I like the pattern used on the background, beautiful, but it would have been nice if this text here with one of these bag is what we have on this stuff here. I believe you guys get my message here. All right, that's one. Then number two is reduce this your shadow here. All right, reduce the shadow, make it very, push it in, make the shadow under this stuff here too light and not too strong, so it will look as if it's resting on the surface. But as it is now, it's looking like it's about to drop on the surface. And you know, I've told you guys several times that shadow is part of how we tell story in design. The way we place our shadow also matters. It's also important. We don't just use shadow on our design project because, okay, everything is looking flat. Okay, let me just use shadow to boost it. No. All right, shadow should be used to tell story. It should be used to explain something on your design, not just let me use it. Okay, then this here are not really necessary. All right, they are not necessary, so I expect you to take them out. Then the last thing I'm going to say on this design, which is my point here, is suspense. I'm going to repeat again. Suspense is what every viewers is looking for on every design project. Suspense is what draws people's attention to look at your design. When you make them don't see the end result of what you use to draw their attention to the design, they move close to the design and try to understand why we have that thing that draw their attention to the project. And you know, the way our brain is programmed is whenever we see something new that we are not used to, we try to, our brain is programmed to try to solve the equation of, okay, why is this like this? And by the time our brain solve the equation successfully, it makes us happy, and it makes that thing become what we're not going to forget again. Okay, so this last advice or tip I just shared with you now is part of what I expect you to add to the things you should hold on to whenever you're working on design projects. So I'm going to stop here today, guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's review. If you have not subscribed, guys, please hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell so you get notified when I post my tutorials. Kindly share this video with other creatives, let them know about what I do for you guys. And thank you again. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.